Welcome to our show. You're listening to Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections, a place to learn about and celebrate creative arts therapy. Each week we'll explore new ways that music, art, and dance can reach, connect with, and help individuals of all stages of health and wellness. Hi, I'm Bree, Beynon, a board-certified music therapist and the managing partner for the Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute. Tune in as I interview professionals from healthcare and educational backgrounds on the impact of the creative arts. If you prefer to watch our live video stream, simply visit www.pbmti.com. Hello, thank you so much for joining us tonight. You're listening to and watching Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. I'm your host, Bree Beynon. I'm a board-certified music therapist here locally in South Florida with the Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute. If you're just joining us for the first time, we're so glad you're here. We did take a week off last week, which I'll talk more about in a minute, but we've got a fresh new show today with some awesome guests. The next hour, we are going to be shining a spotlight on some creative approaches to healthcare and to education and to community and all the good things that are going on around us by talking to some creative arts therapists in the area. So today we have on a really, really exciting guest. Kat Fulton out of California is going to be joining us via phone, calling in, and she is just a trailblazer, an amazing role model for so many music therapists throughout the world. She's doing some really exciting stuff. I can't wait to introduce you to her a little bit later on. But first, we have someone locally, a partner of ours, PBMTI, here, Trisha Williams, who's been on the show before, if you've listened, from the local chapter of our Alzheimer's Association. She's going to be sharing with us some really cool things that are going on with the Walk to End Alzheimer's, which whether you're locally in South Florida or not, there is a local walk in your area coming up this fall throughout September, October, and November. So she's going to be talking about our area, but please, if you're not here in South Florida, look out for where you can get involved by being a walker. It is no cost to sign up, to register. It's recommended that you raise $100 to get your free t-shirt, but you don't have to. If you just want to get some friends together and maybe do a fun fundraiser together and walk to raise awareness and maybe raise some funds for research along the way, it's a really great way to get involved with your community. So again, Trisha's going to be talking about that in a little bit. Then we're going to be joined by Kat Fulton, calling all the way in from California to share with us some tips for self-care. You've probably heard me, if you've been listening or watching the program for a while, heard me mention this a lot over the last few months, and there's a reason for that. We don't do it enough. It's something so important as a professional, as a caregiver, as a student, as anyone, as a parent, as a partner, as whatever your role in life is. It is so easy to become other-centered, centered around what's going on with everyone around us and forget about ourselves and neglect ourselves. So Kat is going to be talking about why making self-care a priority is not selfish, it's self-love, and why we should do that. What I wanted to lead in with my little intro today is I was off last week. I allowed myself a vacation, which I haven't taken a week off to do something non-work related in a long time, over a year. So it was due for sure, and I'm so glad I did it. So if you were listening last week, we had a rerun of one of my favorite programs with some awesome local musicians and music therapists from Trustbridge Health. But what I noticed when I took my week off is I was still working, like almost the entire time. I had my computer open, I had my iPad open, I had my phones going, and it wasn't because I was trying to take away from, the company I was with my family, with my friends. It's just that was, work was still happening. And if you are a business owner, or private practice manager, or in any kind of position where you're kind of the one that's keeping things rolling, we don't really get a vacation. And one thing I realized when I was away doing all this work is one thing I can do for my self-care, it's not enough to try and go on a vacation, is to delegate better. is to really entrust others with some tasks, so that when I go away, I'm not the only one who knows what's going on. And I'm sure if you are a small business or a private practice owner, you're probably nodding your head right now, because those of us that follow this path and go this route with our career, with our field, with our profession, we do it because we want to be in charge. We know what we want to do. We have a business model in mind. We have all these great ideas and we know how to implement them. And it's really tough to delegate these tasks to others. We build up a great team of people with us, and we should use them. We chose them for a reason to be around us, because we share the same mission and vision and values. Now it's time to empower them with the skills so that they know how to run things as well. And you're all working together towards the same goal. So that was kind of a quick lesson that I learned, and it fit in really well with my theme today. Last month, if you want to go back and you've missed any of the shows from July, we were specifically focused on business tips and how to fill up your toolkit while maybe you might be taking a little time off over the summer, whether it's, the season is slow for you with school being out for the summer, or things just naturally slow down with your business in the summer, whatever it is. We had shows with a specific theme of how to fill up that toolkit so that when season comes back around and we're busy, we're armed with some great marketing strategies, with some great tools on being a successful manager, with some great tools on maybe starting a business for the first time. So lots of cool things. So go check those out at pbmti.com. Look for our Purple Connections banner, or they're all also located on our Facebook page at Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute. So thinking about this kind of as we're transitioning now, and some kids are back to school today, I think yesterday and today. Here in Florida, I believe they go back next week and the following week. Is now, how do we make this transition? So if you have been proactive over the summer and kind of took that downtime to build up that toolkit, get ready for busy season, how do we transition back in? And I think self-care is going to be a huge thing to remember, because you can only keep running and getting these tasks completed and meeting all the needs that you need to meet when you've met your own needs. So Kat's advice today is going to be extremely valuable on why self-care needs to be a priority, whether, again, that role for you is as a business owner, or as a caregiver, as a student, as an employee, whatever that is, finding out what that means to you and being gentle with yourself. It can be a big change to go from a calm phase of life or season of life to a really busy one. So be gentle with yourself. Know that you are human and you make mistakes. And certainly I need to remind myself the same sometimes, because we all do. It's tough, especially if maybe you're a student going into the professional world for the first time. And this is a season for that as well. So we want to hear from you all of you who are listening and watching in tonight, and what this transition means for you, and what are some self-care tips that you're doing in your everyday life to help this. So call into the show, 888-565-1470, or interact with us on social media. Again, Facebook at Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute, or Twitter at PBMTI, and let us know your recommended self-care tips, what's working for you, or if you have a specific question for the community about how someone else might help you that's been through the same situation, or call into the show. We would love to talk to you about it. So I'm the only one in the studio tonight. All my guests are calling in, so I have to do my weekly dose of music. You are left with just me. Sorry about that. I don't have a guest musician tonight. So I'm going to lead us into our before we go to our first commercial break, with one of my favorite summertime songs, which honestly is pretty appropriate year-round here in South Florida. Going way back to the 20s with some Irving Berlin with Blue Skies. Blue skies smiling at me, nothing but blue skies do I see. Bluebirds singing a song, nothing but bluebirds from now on. Never saw the sun shining so bright, never saw things going so right. Noticing the days hurrying by, when you're in love, my how they fly. Oh, blue days, all of them gone, nothing but blue skies from now on. Never saw the sun shining so bright, never saw things going so right. Noticing the days hurrying by, when you're in love, my how they fly. Oh, blue days, all of them gone, nothing but blue skies from now on. Nothing but blue skies from now on. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We come back, we're going to be talking to Trisha Williams, the local development manager for the Alzheimer's Association. Stick around.
Mom's fall was a wake-up call. We knew she needed help, but we also knew she'd never leave her home.
With jobs and kids, we can't always be there. We weren't sure who to trust to help around the house and make sure she takes her medications.
We did our research and found our answer. Bright Star Care. Their home care teams are led by registered nurses, with help available 24/7.
Thanks to Bright Star Care, Mom can stay where she wants to be, at home.
For a standard of care that raises the bar, call 844 for Bright Star.
The Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute is a professional music therapy practice serving medical, community, and educational settings throughout Southeast Florida. With our experienced team of 11 board-certified music therapists, we use music and research-based therapeutic interventions to help individuals of all ages and abilities reach their goals and increase their quality of life. For more information on our services and programs, please visit our website at pbmti.com. Engage with us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or call us at 561-747-9944. You are listening to Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. If you'd like to join the conversation, the toll-free number is 888-565-1470. Now back to the show. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. You are listening to and watching Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. I'm your host, Bree, Beynon, board-certified music therapist here locally in South Florida. And today we are talking about this transition from maybe taking some time off in the summer. Maybe things were a little bit slower or your job allowed you to have a break. And we're getting ready to go right back into it, whether that means school time or season, whatever that means for you. How can we ease that transition? So we're going to be talking a little bit later on to Kat Fulton, a music therapist extraordinaire out of South California, and she is going to be talking to us about self-care. Now, you've heard us mention self-care several times over the past months, especially last week when we were talking about business tips, and what came up a few times from local business owners or private practice owners in the area is to take time to volunteer, to get involved with your community, to kind of step out of that work role and find something that really is in line with your passion and just give of your time without that restraint of it being a job necessarily. So one way for me that I have found that I could give back to my community is getting involved with our local Walk to End Alzheimer's. This is my second year being involved, and I look forward to it every year. I mean, there's not really much time off in between because it's a big process and there's lots to do. It's a great event. And my first guest, who I'm hoping is on the line. Trisha, are you with me?
I'm here.
Wonderful. Hi, Trisha. Thanks so much for joining tonight.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us on, Bree, to talk a little bit more about the walk. Can you believe it is actually only 2 months away?
No, I cannot at all. That's, even though I feel like we just talked about it, hearing it again, that's insane. That's amazing. So you were just on a few weeks ago talking about the walk and the Alzheimer's Association in general, but we are already that much closer, and there's a lot of cool stuff going on. So I wondered if you just kind of give us maybe a quick rundown for anyone who didn't listen in before about what you all do as an association and a little bit of a history of the walk.
Absolutely. Well, what's great is, first thing I want to do right off the bat is really thank you for being one of the many wonderful, dedicated volunteers that we have for the different walks. I have the privilege to be the development manager for both West Palm Beach and also the Treasure Coast area, whose walks are both Treasure Coast will be October the 1st at Indian Riverside Park. And then West Palm Beach will be having their walk the next weekend, October the 8th, right down in beautiful, busy City Place. We're shutting down City Place in the morning to walk and really just bring awareness. And just to let you know a little bit about the Alzheimer's Association and our walk is actually the nation's largest event to raise awareness and funds for Alzheimer's care, support, and research. And the walk really needs people like us, like yourself, to join in helping us to end Alzheimer's, which is, I don't know if you shared this already, but it is the nation's 6th leading cause of death. So we really need to end this. And the Alzheimer's Association, our vision is a world without Alzheimer's.
And I know, Trisha, a big push for you, and we've talked about this, we talked about on the show before too, is to make this an intergenerational event, an approach.
Absolutely.
And share a little bit about that.
Well, it really, we see it every day, and it's really becoming, really kind of driving home now that this is not what a lot of people thought was an older person's disease or a senior disease. Unfortunately, we find younger and younger onset. But also we have to realize that this really affects all the generations, because you unfortunately would have to explain to grandchildren, why does grandma not remember me when I was just over at her house last week? Or, we do even have some volunteers who are in their 20s and they've already lost parents to the disease or are dealing with that as they're also dealing with what you were talking about before in your other segment, the changeover in life, getting out of college and into work, and now you've got to also take care of mom. It's a lot. So we are really reaching out to every part of our all generations. From I actually bring my own kids who are under the age of 5 to walk. And, we just really need to let them know now, so that hopefully by the time they get to their senior years, this would just be a past disease and we would have already found a cure. So I really think it's important for every member of the family, whether you're 2 years old, 20 years old, or you're in your 80s, to be out there walking with us.
Absolutely. I love that you shine a light on that because, as you mentioned, we shared Katie's story, and she's in her 20s, and she did lose her mom to this disease and so young. And the next following week, my friend Stephanie, who you met, shared her story about currently going through this as a caregiver with her mom who has this younger onset. So while it certainly does affect the population that we have in our mind, it's affecting so much more now. And so I think it's even more important now than ever to raise this awareness. And not only to educate the community on it, but we do it in fun ways, which I think is really neat, to get people engaged that maybe wouldn't have ever come to an event like this before. So if you want to talk a little bit, Trisha, about what we have going on in the next couple months to get people kind of geared up and excited about our upcoming walks.
Okay, absolutely. Well, the great thing about the walk is, number one, our volunteers, like yourself, like Katie, are really out there, number one, finding ways to make the walk a lot of fun. Like I said, we picked really great locations. The Treasure Coast is at Indian Riverside Park, which is an absolutely beautiful park. And we have a group of determined volunteers up there to not only have it be at a beautiful park, but make it a lot of fun. They are thinking about doing some really cool things from, we've even talked to magicians. There might be some hula hooping going on, a lot of different fun things at the walk. But before you get to the walk, you might say, well, Trisha, I want to come out and walk, but I don't understand everything that kind of goes on behind it. Well, we have an event coming up here in West Palm Beach on October the 23rd, so just in about 2 weeks. And that is going to be at Allegro, which is a community who is also one of our larger sponsors, our gold sponsor for the walk. We want to thank Allegro Boynton Beach and Allegro Jupiter for being sponsors. And they are actually sponsoring this event. And what it is, it's called our Walk to End Alzheimer's New Teen Kickoff event. So if you're thinking, you know what, I want to walk, and maybe I want to get the family together to walk, but I don't know what all that entails, and, it's kind of like an open house. And not only is it an open house where you can come and kind of kick the tires, find out more about the walk, find out about the great incentives that we have going on, hear from really some of our team captains who are doing amazing things raising funds, but guess what? Allegro actually gives us breakfast that morning, and boy, they know how to throw a really nice breakfast. So you can enjoy breakfast with us, and all of this is free. All we ask for you to do is go ahead and register for the event. And the easiest way to register for the event is actually to give me a call. You can either call me at 561-967-0047, or you can email me at Williams, WILLIAMS, @ALZ.org. Don't forget, it's org, not com. And again, that date for that event is August the 23rd, 8:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. So early morning, come out, have some breakfast, come out, have some great music. And you know what? We have a wonderful local musician who is going to be playing for us. And Bree, I want to thank you for having yourself and some of the other music therapists be our local musicians for that event. So thank you.
Absolutely. It's our pleasure. We love being involved with you all. And what better way to wake up in the morning with some music, some good food, some good people, hearing about awesome things happening in our community. So I love it. And what else? I mean, my goodness. So if you can't make it that morning, your job, doesn't allow, or maybe you're out of the area, what are some other ways that people can get involved between now and the walk?
Well, they can definitely visit our walk website. You can find it by just simply putting in your zip code into alz.org/walk. And there you'll find the West Palm Beach Walk. We have amazing events that are going on that are really run by our volunteers. These are volunteers who take the time to set up. We have a cocktail hour coming up on the 27th of August with Helix Medical Centers and Urgent Care. And we also have coming up a car wash done by senior helpers. So you know what? You can get your car clean. You can give to the organization. What a way to spend a day, getting things done for yourself, but also giving back.
For sure.
And many other events that we continually change. So just keep going to our website, checking it out. And, of course, we want you to come out for that big day, like I said, only 2 months away, October the 8th in City Place.
Wonderful. Trisha, I just have to ask, since our theme is kind of on gearing up for busy times, which it's pretty much always your busy time. I feel like I don't think you have a downtime, at least not since I've known you. So what is your self-care? How do you cope with all of the busyness going on?
Well, Bree, you know a little bit about me because you've seen my kids at the walk. I have 2 little ones under the age of 5. And you know what, for me, because they're in school and I'm at work, for me, it's just being able to get down on the floor and play with them. I'm a happy mom who likes to play, whether it's we're playing Legos or racing cars. I have 2 boys, so it's either Legos or racing cars. And, just having a really great time with them. And then sometimes I just go out and grab a great movie and watch a movie. It doesn't hurt to go to the movies once in a while by yourself, relax. But for me, it's really that family time that's my downtime.
Beautiful. I love it. And you work so hard to keep others' families together, so it's really important that you take that time for yourself and your family as well. Wonderful.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely, Tricia. And one more time, quick, before we go to our next commercial break, can you give us your phone number again, your email, and how people can register for the walk?
Absolutely. Again, you can register for the walk by going to www.alz.org and then /walk. You'll be able to put in your zip code, and it will pull up the walks that are closest to you. We want you coming out to the West Palm Beach walk, come out to the walk in the Treasure Coast, and of course we've got some other great walks in Boca and Hollywood Beach and also Miami. So definitely come to any of the walks.
And nationwide, right? They're all over.
Absolutely. This is our season for walking. We tried to pick cooler months, and so fall is a great time to come out and walk with us. And then if you missed all that and you just want to give me a call, it's 561-967-0047. Again, 561-967-0047 or twilliams@alz.org for you to RSVP to that wonderful breakfast and call it an open house at Allegro, where you'll find out more about joining the walk.
Fabulous. We're going to also be posting that flyer on our social media at Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute. If you missed that number or email here, it's got all Tricia's info on there. Come join us. Sam and I are going to be there kicking us off with some music. There's going to be some great food, raffles, fun, information. You're going to love it. Tricia, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Absolutely. Have a great night, everyone.
Thanks so much. All right, we're going to take another quick commercial break. We come back, I'm going to introduce you to my next guest, Miss Kat Fulton, music therapist all the way in California. Stick around. The Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute is a professional music therapy practice serving medical, community, and educational settings throughout Southeast Florida. With our experienced team of 11 board-certified music therapists, we use music and research-based therapeutic interventions to help individuals of all ages and abilities reach their goals and increase their quality of life. For more information on our services and programs, please visit our website at pbmti.com, engage with us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or call us at 561-747-9944.
Mom's fall was a wake-up call. We knew she needed help, but we also knew she'd never leave her home.
With jobs and kids, we can't always be there. We weren't sure who to trust to help around the house and make sure she takes her medications.
We did our research and found our answer. Bright Star Care. Their home care teams are led by registered nurses, with help available 24/7.
Thanks to Bright Star Care, Mom can stay where she wants to be, at home.
For a standard of care that raises the bar, call 844 for Bright Star.
You are listening to Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. If you'd like to join the conversation, the toll-free number is 888-565-1470. Now back to the show. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. You're listening to and watching Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. I'm your host, Bree Beynon. We have been talking about today how to make this as smooth a transition as possible. If you've been taking off a little time this summer, which is much deserved. Maybe you took a vacation with friends or with family, and now we're getting back into the busy season. So one way that we can just show some kindness to ourselves during this transition is by practicing some self-care. Again, if you listen to this show regularly, you know that I've been talking about this a lot lately because sometimes it takes a lot of times to hear it to do it. And I'm speaking for myself and many other professionals and caregivers and students that I know, we don't make this a priority. So I cannot imagine a better person to be talking on this topic with me than Miss Kat Fulton, who's calling in all the way from California. Kat, are you with us?
I sure am. Can you hear me, Bree?
I can hear you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us tonight, or today, where you are.
That's right. It is bright and sunshiny in Southern California. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I feel so honored to be here.
Absolutely. It is my pleasure. I'm glad we finally synced up. I know with the time difference, it's tough, but it's an honor. So, you know what? There's a myriad of topics. I could probably have you on every week to talk about something fun that you've got going on over there. So this is a great place to start. But before we get into it, I wondered if you'd just share a little bit about your background with everyone.
Sure, I'd love to. I am a practicing board-certified music therapist all the way in San Diego, California, but I am from the South. I'm from Atlanta, and I actually have some relatives along the Treasure Coast of Florida. So
I did not know that. Very cool.
Yep, my brother and his family live down there, and so I love Florida, South Florida, Central Florida. It's good. And I got my graduate degree from Florida State.
Very cool.
So, yeah, I have a lot of ties over there in Florida. And a little bit about my background, I am far too busy for one person to handle. I'm sure a lot of your listeners can probably relate how we just give ourselves things to do over and over. But I have started a private practice in San Diego, and once I started my private practice, I got into some other things like doing continuing education online and teaching other music therapists how to be better music therapists and how to be really effective. And now it's grown to serving healthcare professionals, social workers, psychologists. Right. And so what it all comes down to is a site that I founded, a website for continuing education called musictherapyed.com. And I'm really honored to be the curator over there and have different instructors share their expertise in the world and, kind of lead the way for music and healthcare learning online. And so that's another reason I love being on your show is because you're online as well. And so I've done drum circles, I've done music therapy, all sorts of different stuff, worked with corporations. Qualcomm and Intuit hired me to come and do some corporate team building for them. I've done healing retreats for healthcare providers, for nurses, for burnout prevention, and then, of course, music therapy with older adults, Alzheimer's, kids, and I feel really blessed to have the work that I do in the world, and I feel really blessed to have found my purpose through my work. So,
absolutely. And it shows, and I feel the same way. We're so lucky to be able to get to do what we love and share it in this way. And again, you radiate that, which is so genuine, which is such an awesome thing. And you're being modest, right? Because we all do that too as music therapists. But I love that you did say leading the way, which you are, and you're elevating the field with all the projects that you're involved in. And just because when you get the opportunity to name drop, not only do I love the interdisciplinary approach that you take to including all of these other healthcare professionals or education professionals, but you've had the opportunity to connect with some pretty big names in the celebrity world and to share with them a little bit about music therapy. If you wouldn't mind sharing about that a little bit.
Sure. Well, I was really lucky. It was a few years ago at a national conference. It was a national music therapy conference that someone showed up unexpectedly. No one was expecting this guy to show up and sit in on a session. His name is Ben Folds, and if you're around my age, then probably when you were in high school, you were jumping around to all of his popular songs like Brick. And I mean, I literally remember jumping around the house with my little brother singing Underground, which was his first hit single. And then he came, Ben Folds 5. I went to every one of his shows in Atlanta at the time. So whether he was playing at the Variety Playhouse or a number of concert venues in Little 5 Points in Atlanta, I went to all of them. I saw him throw a piano bench from 3 stories high onto the piano at the grand finale. And so anyway, I'm a huge Ben Folds fan. And when he showed up at our conference, I was really blessed to be kind of in that crowd of, I think there were about 8 of us music therapists who were invited to go get Thai food with him for dinner one night, and we all piled up in a van taxi. I got to sit on his lap because there was nowhere else to sit, literally. I mean, it was either the floor or, I'm
getting like bonus stories here. I didn't even know about this. This is great.
So, the 7 or 8 of us gals, we all created shirts that said BFF, Ben Folds Forever. So we had a whole hashtag. The reason that we were on the inside is because we had been communicating with him over Twitter, and he's all over Twitter. Yeah. And we have this, Ben and I have this inside joke, like every time I see him in person, I give him a guitar pick that has my website on it and a little marketing information. It's like marketing with guitar picks. And so, the coolest thing ever was one lonely Sunday. I was kind of moving between places, and I was kind of like, oh, what a drag. I have to move from one place to another. It was just kind of a slow Sunday. The weather was beautiful, but I couldn't go anywhere because I was kind of stuck working and moving. And I checked Twitter, and Ben Folds had mentioned me and shared a photo of one of my guitar picks. And that made my day. That turned my whole day upside down.
Absolutely.
So, and it said, be well, feel good, make music, catfulton.com, anyway, that was super cool. So it's great. Every time he comes to town to San Diego, I go to his concert, and we're, I wouldn't say we're best buds whatsoever, but definitely,
you're better friends than I am with him, so go with it. I think that's great. That's very cool.
That's a super fun story. And he showed up at this drum circle where I was hired to facilitate this. Oh man, this is the most amazing experience. The U.S. Surgeon General was actually sitting in on this drum circle as well.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Isn't there like a Dr. Gupta connection here as well?
Dr. Gupta was there. He was in the drum circle as well. Yeah, and so it was part of the Americans for the Arts initiative for music with the military, music with veterans, and so it was like this big, brain trust think tank kind of like little big meeting of all these brilliant minds, and they had a drum circle, and I happened to be the facilitator. I happened to be lucky enough to have been hired to be the facilitator for that event, and there's Ben Folds, the U.S. Surgeon General, Dr. Gupta, and a bunch of other people that I don't even know their names, but, change makers, policy makers and stuff. So anyway, it was a lot of fun and very cool, life-changing kind of experience. And, so I was there with my friend Mike, who runs drumbus.com, which is a hilarious, awesome, creative thing. He basically takes a school bus, fills it up with drums, and then has the kids come around to, do this, like either travel with him or sit in the school bus and make music together. So anyway, after the drum circle, he turns to me, he says, that the guy who cut everybody off in the middle of the drum circle to exclaim wellness, that he's the U.S. Surgeon General, right? And so I said, no, that's when, of course, we mingled with everyone afterwards. And, so that was
what an amazing opportunity, and especially that you didn't. It kind of sounds like you didn't exactly know what you were walking into, so almost didn't have time to get kind of nerved up about who was going to be the audience, and that's the best thing you can do. Yeah, totally. Go in with that open mind, and we're just gonna. It's just like the nursing home down the street. We're gonna go in, have some fun, make some music together. And what a really cool outcome, and it couldn't come at a better time, as I think our field, which I think you and I have kind of touched on before together, is that just this, there's no better time to be a music therapist. The field is just evolving every day. Such cool things are happening. We're in the media like never before. We're in front of, like you said, policymakers and decision makers like never before. So that was just what a cool springboard for all these neat things that have been happening over the last few years.
Yeah, it is so exciting. It is so incredibly exciting. And the future is really bright, too. I like to say that, the field of music therapy became famous in 2011 because there were these 3 events that I always kind of bring up. But then when I think back on it, I'm like, wow, so much has happened even since then. But when I think of 2011, it was a big turning point for me because I had been a professional for about 6 years. So I was still kind of a new professional, kind of becoming more seasoned. But, there was a New York Times bestselling author who wrote a book with the lead character being a music therapist. There was a Sundance film winner that starred, the star was a music therapist. The leading role played a music therapist. And then, unfortunately, Gabby Giffords was shot in the head, but ABC played a whole special series on music therapy and how that was life-changing for her. So, I think of 2011 being a real turning point, but there's been even more that's happened since then. That has been mind-blowing. That has really hit the history books,
For sure. And just to go back, in case someone's listening or watching that isn't aware, the book Sing You Home, correct, by Jodi Picoult?
That's right.
And then Music Never Stopped?
The Music Never Stopped, correct.
And that was based on work with Dr. Oliver Sacks, correct?
Yep.
Okay, just want to make sure I'm getting all my facts correct there, who was an incredible advocate for our community.
Yeah.
And then
rest in peace.
Yeah, absolutely. And then what was it, last year or 2 years ago, we were named the people of the, what was it? At ABC News?
Yes, was it ABC or NBC Nightly News?
Yeah, you're right. Yep.
I think it was it was Persons of the Week.
Yeah, Persons of the Week, right? Music therapist, the Person of the Week. No one even knows what we do, I feel like, half the time. That was like the coolest thing, to turn on your TV and see that.
Oh, yeah, just insane. Yeah, so awesome, so fun. Yeah, definitely. And it goes, Ben Folds always tells, I'm always raving about him. Ben, you're amazing. And he's like, no, I mean, you're the one who is out there in the field helping the people who need it the most. And he always turns it around to us, to be about us, which I think is so special and honoring. And, I just feel so lucky.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. We lucked out with that advocate. And I think that relationship will only continue to grow, which is such an exciting thing. Kat, we're going to cut to a quick commercial break. Stay on the line, because when we come back, we're going to get right into talking about that self-care that I know you love to share about so much. So hang on, everyone. We're going to take a quick commercial break, but stick around for some great tips.
Mom's fall was a wake-up call. We knew she needed help, but we also knew she'd never leave her home.
With jobs and kids, we can't always be there. We weren't sure who to trust to help around the house and make sure she takes her medications.
We did our research and found our answer. Bright Star Care. Their home care teams are led by registered nurses, with help available 24/7.
Thanks to Bright Star Care, Mom can stay where she wants to be, at home.
For a standard of care that raises the bar, call 844 for Bright Star.
The Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute is a professional music therapy practice serving medical, community, and educational settings throughout Southeast Florida. With our experienced team of 11 board-certified music therapists, we use music and research-based therapeutic interventions to help individuals of all ages and abilities reach their goals and increase their quality of life. For more information on our services and programs, please visit our website at pbmti.com. Engage with us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or call us at 561-747-9944. You are listening to Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. If you'd like to join the conversation, the toll-free number is 888-565-1470. Now back to the show. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. You're listening to and watching Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. I'm your host, Bree Beynon, and I have a very special guest joining us by phone all the way from Southern California, where we are in the middle of a beautiful sunny day, right? And I've got on the phone Kat Fulton. Are you still there, Kat?
I sure am.
Awesome. Thanks again for being here. And before we get too deep into talking about self-care today, I want to give you a chance to share your call to action to all of our listeners and viewers.
Yes, great. This is a special link that we promised to share on the show. I'm so excited to share this with you. It is at musictherapyed.com/connections.
Awesome.
So that's, musictherapyed.com/connections. There you will be able to pick up 3 resources. Number one is an MP3, another is a video, and another is a written text script of a really sweet, wonderful meditation by a colleague of mine. Her name is Ami Kunimura, and she's got a master's in music therapy from St. Mary of the Woods College. She is my go-to expert for self-care, and really I feel like being on this show, I'm trying to channel her because she is so well researched. She has done all the research on this, and just well versed, I should say, and very, very articulate when she explains what self-care is, what burnout is, how it comes about, what is the research that supports self-care and preventing burnout. And anyway, her meditation is really wonderful, something that you can practice on your own. It's also something that you can practice in a group with friends or with family. In fact, I wanted to share this story really quickly.
Sure.
I just ran into a staff person about an hour ago, and she said, I ran into some colleagues at the coffee shop next to our clinic. We have a clinic space in Kensington area, San Diego. And Kat, I hope you don't mind, but I invited them in to our clinic after hours, and we all participated in using the script. I think there were 3 total friends that she went into our space with, and we all gave each other a drum massage, and we all used this meditation script to relax, and it just hit the spot because we were all in that place of, we had just finished a day of work and we just needed to shake it off. And so I said, of course, that you could go into the clinic anytime and use the self-care script anytime. But that was just a real pleasant surprise to see that people are using it and benefiting from it. And we've gotten a lot of good response from it as well.
How awesome to hear that validation back too when people are using that kind of on their own and hearing the positive impact. I didn't even think about this until you were sharing that story, but I remember probably about 5 years ago going in to do some community-based programs for our local brain injury association and using a script that I believe I found on your website about kind of coming together with our instruments and feeling grounded through the instrument and knowing that there's no judgment outside of our little space and in the group, and that we're all here to kind of listen to one another and come together. And that has shaped so much of how I run drum circles because of that one script. So I don't know if you know exactly what I'm referring to, but thank you for that. Oh, you do? Good. So thank you.
Thank you for sharing that with me.
Yeah, for sure.
I think, little reminders, we're therapists and you and I are healthcare professionals, and so we should know all this stuff already, but it helps to have those little reminders to ourselves that, leave your judgment at the door, leave your self-criticism at the door, come into this space and just be free to be you, and whoever you are, however you come out, however you express that into the world, there's no wrong way. That validation, it's so important to remind ourselves of that just as often as we possibly can to fill our cups back up again. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. And we tell others to do this all the time.
We sure do. We tell others to do this all the time. And so it really helps to fill our cup back up. And I know that healthcare in particular is, a high burnout, high turnover kind of industry. And so I actually I know for sure that they're actually Career Builder is a website, and they did some research, and they found that 1/3 of the people in healthcare, of the employees in healthcare, plan to look for a new job next year. So that just says a lot. And there are lots of other statistics from this survey that I was pretty surprised by. But they also found that 60% of healthcare workers feel burned out. And that's a pretty big percentage. That's more than half. So I think that a really big initiative in the healthcare world, as far as on the employer side, is giving employees that opportunity and those experiences to fill their cups back up again, and to practice self-care, and to do retreats and get rejuvenated. And so that's something that's positive. That's something that's positive, but there's always room for improvement. And I think, I could channel Ami Kunimura, my colleague, who is the self-care expert in our world, I think. But she kind of describes burnout within our field, or even in the field of healthcare in general, as, there are 3 different areas of burnout and what you can do for self-care. There's burnout and self-care in your state, just your emotional state within the workplace, within your personal life, and also within your social life. So just paying attention to those 3 areas and feeling where you are depleted, being able to identify where you're depleted, and then taking some action to reverse that depletion or fill it back up again and rejuvenate yourself is something really important for us to do if we want to keep our jobs, if we want to stay well and be well.
For sure. I mean, I think that we are at an advantage because, like we shared earlier, we feel lucky that we've found a way to make a living doing our passion. But still, it's wonderful that to be making music and to making music with others, but that's not all it is. There's certainly, and that can transcend to whatever your passion is and what you find in your career. You can be doing what you love, but you still need to, like you said, you have to be filling up your cup to pour and fill those of others. So we can very clearly see, throughout the internet and social media, Kat, how you encourage others to have self-care, again, that interdisciplinary approach and in professional and also amongst your friends and your colleagues as well. But what is your go-to for you? How do you fill your cup?
Yeah, great question. So on a regular basis, I think there are many different levels of self-care. I mean, for instance, you just went on vacation, right, Bree?
Yes.
So I think that counts, right? I mean, we can count that in the points of, the gold stars that you receive for self-care. Yay, good.
Like I said, that I even allowed myself to do that, I give myself points for that.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge. So you get bonus points for even allowing yourself to do that. And then every day off we take a week, okay, counts for sure. But then on a daily basis, so for instance, what I do, and I see a lot of older adults when I practice and when I hold sessions, and literally hold space for the sessions, for these wonderful people to come together and express themselves and share their stories and share their hardships and their challenges and share their traumatic experiences in life, and then work through those and play them out and connect, create this community, right? So if you think of the responsibility of the facilitator or the therapist in that way, it's a lot to carry. It's a lot to hold space for. Mm-hmm. So something I like to do after a session, for instance, is maybe I'm walking in my car at the end of a day, or maybe I'm coming home, and before I even step foot into my house, I just stand there, or I sit there in my car if I don't want anybody to see me do this, and I just literally shake it off. And for me, the physical act is very symbolic of the emotional practice of literally shaking off whatever happened that day. Shake it off. It's not about me. It's not my job to save the world. It is my job to be me, and I get to be me. Yay, As soon as I walk into the door of my house, It's just literally physically from my head to my shoulders to, doing little belly wiggle to my hips to my legs to my toes and my feet, and literally shaking off the day in a physical manner helps me a lot. It kind of loosens up my muscles, gets me back into my body, makes me realize that I have a body, and we have to have these reminders, right?
For sure.
And as healthcare providers, we're so often to helping others. So when someone asks us, in fact, we went to Alzheimer's San Diego today. Speaking of the walks coming up, there's a walk also in San Diego.
Wonderful.
Love that you had that on your show with me here today too. Cool.
Perfect.
And so if you're in San Diego, do the walk. It's in October. There's one in Oceanside and San Diego. But anyway, we literally, Christy, my staff person, and I walked into to Alzheimer's San Diego, and the receptionist asked if we'd like a water, and I said no. And Christy, because I'm thinking, well, no, it's okay, you don't have to serve me. But Christy said yes. But Christy said, but where is it so I can get it myself? Right? It's like this idea of someone else helping us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to practice. I have to catch myself sometimes.
I had the same exact moment yesterday in line with someone asking, while you have a long wait, would you like a drink? And I was like, no. And then I thought, I kind of do. And I took a moment, I kind of applauded myself for that. Like, yeah, I actually am thirsty. I would like a drink.
So you did, and you said it out loud.
And I did,
you got a drink, and yay! Hey, that's more points for your self-care, girl. Woohoo! Lots of gold stars for you, Bree.
Yes, racking them up this week.
Awesome.
Kat, we've got about 1 minute left. I wish I could go on for the next hour talking to you about this. I want to give you an opportunity one more time just to shout out how people can get in touch with you and also to respond to your call to action today.
Absolutely. You can get in touch with me at musictherapyed.com. And for the special link, it's musictherapyed.com/connections. That's how you can get in touch with me. Love to hear from you. We have our phone number and email address all there on the website. And I can't wait to connect with more of you listeners. Thanks for tuning in.
Beautiful. And I know we've got so much more we can talk about. Can I count on you to come on maybe another time?
Yes, ma'am. I would love to. I love hanging out with you.
Beautiful. That's awesome. Thanks so much again for taking the time to do this. Have a wonderful night, everyone. We'll see you again next week. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you for listening to Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. We hope you enjoyed today's program and discovered new ways to bring music, art, and dance into your home or workplace. Please find a copy of today's show at pbmti.com. If you have any questions for our guest or myself, please email me at Bree, that's BREE, at pbmti.com, or call the Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute at 561-747-9944. Tune back in next week for an all-new live show. See you then.
The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its host